Hello, dear students. My name is Снежана Kostic, and I'm really pleased to welcome you to another English class. I do hope you will enjoy it and find it useful and helpful. Today, we are going to talk about the first conditional. In the lesson before last, you learned that we can use it to give a warning to someone. Do you remember how we do it? Here are a few examples to remind you of that. Be careful. If you stand on that table, it will collapse. I'll send for the police if you don't go away. Look out. Unless you are more careful, you will have an accident. In our today's lesson, we are going to learn how to use the same structure, the first conditional, to talk about possibilities and probabilities in the future. Nicola, Stefan, Raina, and Alexander are willingly here to help us do that. It's my great pleasure to introduce them to you because I believe you will find their life stories, professions, and hobbies interesting. Nicola is my husband's nephew. He's a professional actor and he moved from Belgrade to London a month ago to complete his master's studies at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. He enjoys taking long walks and sightseeing. He's impatient to visit Stratford-upon-Avon, the town in central England where William Shakespeare was born. In our yesterday's phone conversation, Nicola said, "If the weather is fine next weekend, I'll visit Shakespeare's birthplace." He added this, "They won't let me into the museum if I don't book my entrance ticket in advance." It's because of the COVID-19 epidemic. Only small groups of visitors are allowed to enter the museum at the same time. Nicola loves the theater, and he hopes to work in it one day as a speech coach. He might also work as a professor of voice and diction at a university. He might get an interesting job offer if he completes his studies successfully. But he might not stay in England if he doesn't find a good job there. Stefan is Nicola's younger brother. He lives in Belgrade and he's a future doctor. He's going to graduate from the Faculty of Medicine soon. He has already got an offer to work in Germany, but he has to learn the language first. Here is what he says. "If I study hard, I will pass my German exam. I won't get the work permit if I don't pass the exam. Neće dobiti radnu dozvolu ako ne položi ispit iz nemačkog jezika." Now, can you guess what Stefan's hobby is? It's actually more than just a hobby. It's a passion. He is also an excellent guitarist. When he starts working, he might buy a great new electric guitar if his salary is high. Stefan's girlfriend Maria is also a medical student. She's younger than Stefan, so she will have to stay in Belgrade to finish her studies. Maria won't be able to visit Stefan if she doesn't get a travel visa. This might happen due to the coronavirus pandemic. Let's hope it won't. If everything goes well, the two of them will often meet each other. Now, let's have a look at the grammar part. How do we form the first conditional? Do you remember what tense is used in each clause? Try to complete these sentences. Stefan said, "If I study hard, I will pass my German exam." I won't get the work permit if I don't pass the exam. So, what tense do we use in the if clause? If I study hard, if I don't pass the exam. That's right, present simple. What about in the main clause? To je onaj drugi deo kondicionala, na ovom slajdu prikazan plavom bojom, koji je glavni, nezavisni deo uslovne rečenice. Tako je, u tom delu koristimo buduće vrijeme, future simple tense, which means will or won't plus infinitive without to. I will pass my German exam. I won't get the work permit. Now, another thing. Do not let the present simple in the if clause confuse you. Here, its meaning is sometimes present, but very often future. When Stefan says, "If I study hard, if I don't pass the exam," he actually refers to the near future, not the present. Iako dakle koristimo present simple, sadašnje prosto vrijeme, radnja koju njime opisujemo će se najčešće dogoditi tek u bliskoj ili daljoj budućnosti. Here is another thing for you to pay attention to. Do we use a comma between the clauses in conditional sentences? Da li koristimo zapetu između dva dela uslovne rečenice? Pažljivo pogledajte i donesite zaključak. You are right. When the if clause is first, we use a comma. When the if clause comes second, we don't need a comma. We use the first conditional to talk about future events which the speaker thinks are probable. Nicola said, "If the weather is fine next weekend, I'll visit Shakespeare's birthplace. They won't let me into the museum if I don't book my entrance ticket in advance." So, we introduce a possible situation with the if clause and we describe its future result in the main clause. Onim delom prvog kondicionala koji počinje veznikom if iskazujemo situaciju koja će se verovatno dogoditi i koja je zapravo uslov da se desi ono što iskazujemo u glavnoj rečenici. Upravo zato ove složene rečenice i nazivamo uslovne rečenice ili kondicionali. Na engleskom conditional sentences, jer reč condition znači uslov. If the weather is fine next weekend, I'll visit Shakespeare's birthplace, kaže Nikola. Uslov je da vrijeme bude lepo narednog vikenda i moguće je da će biti. Ukoliko ovaj uslov bude ispunjen, šta će se dogoditi? Nikola će posetiti Šekspirovu rodnu kuću. To će dakle biti rezultat, to jest ishod. So, we talk about events which are almost certain to happen if something else happens. That is, we predict the result of a likely or possible situation in the future. Prvi kondicional se često naziva i real conditional, upravo zato što je veoma moguće da do ostvarenja onoga o čemu govorimo dođe. Now, look carefully at these two sentences. How do they differ from those we have just discussed? Dobro ste primetili. He might get, he might not stay. U glavnoj rečenici, umesto will i won't, sada imamo might i might not, uz koje takođe stoji infinitiv glagola bez to. Might get, might not stay. What's the difference in meaning? Do you know? Yes, we use will and won't when we are certain that something will be true in the future. And we use might and might not when we aren't certain. We are talking about a future situation that is possible, but not definite. Kada dakle kažemo he might get an interesting job offer, to znači da se može desiti da Nikola dobije interesantnu poslovnu ponudu ako uspešno završi svoje master studije. Moguće je, ali ne i izvesno da će tako biti. Ako pak kažemo he will get an interesting job offer, takva je poslovna ponuda sasvim izvesna. Sigurno će je dobiti. He might not stay in England. Moguće je da neće ostati u Engleskoj ukoliko ne uspe da tamo pronađe dobar posao. He won't stay in England bi značilo da on sasvim sigurno neće ostati u Engleskoj ukoliko ne uspe da tamo pronađe dobar posao. Obratite pažnju i na sledeće. Dok u odričnim rečenicama najčešće koristimo skraćeni oblik won't umesto dugog will not, might not ne skraćujemo. We do not contract might not. Raina was once my pupil, and she is now my young colleague, an English teacher. She is also an amateur painter. I love her paintings, and I'm going to share them with you. She often paints her daydreams and firmly believes that they will come true one day. Raina and her husband live in a flat, but they would like to live in a house. That is why she says, if we save enough money, we will buy a house. Here it is. Do you like it? And here is Raina's plan. Unless I'm too busy at work, I'll decorate it myself. What else is their plan? They'll have a dog unless their garden is too small. And if there is any money left, they might travel around the world. Now, Alexander is my friend and he's a chemist by profession. But he's also a calligrapher. Do you know what calligraphy is? These are some of his calligraphies. As you can see, calligraphy is the art of beautiful handwriting. Alexander is an expert in Arabic calligraphy as well. Last January, he received an invitation to travel to Egypt and exhibit his works in Cairo. He accepted it gladly, but he, unfortunately, couldn't go there in the end. The flights to Egypt were cancelled last March due to the COVID-19 pandemic. If they invite him again when the pandemic ends, he will have to buy another plane ticket. Unless the flight costs too much, he will invite his wife to join him. Let's hope for a happy end. Now, let's have a look at Raina's sentences once again. What do they actually mean? What is the meaning of unless? Let's transform these two sentences and thus find the answer. Unless I am too busy at work, I'll decorate it myself. If I'm not too busy at work, I'll decorate it myself. We'll have a dog unless our garden is too small. We'll have a dog if our garden is not too small. Unless means the same as if not. Unless I am too busy, if I'm not too busy. Unless our garden is too small, if our garden is not too small. So, unless plus a positive verb means exactly the same as if plus a negative verb. S obzirom na to da unless u svom značenju, a to je if not, već nosi neku vrstu negacije. Posle njega nikada ne koristimo glagol u odrečnom obliku, već upamtite uvek u potvrdnom. Unless zapravo znači except on the condition that, što će reći osim u slučaju da. We'll have a dog unless our garden is too small. Imaćemo psa, osim u slučaju da naše dvorište bude isuviše malo. Imaćemo psa ako naše dvorište ne bude isuviše malo. Let's quickly check your understanding of this. Can you now tell the difference between these two sentences? Excellent. Don't call me if you need help means I won't help you even if you need help. Nemoj da me zoveš ako ti bude potrebna pomoć. Sva je verovatnoća da si me naljutio. Don't call me unless you need help means I will help you if you need help, but I don't want non-urgent calls. Nemoj da me zoveš osim u slučaju da ti je potrebna pomoć. And now, let's practice what you have learned. Raina, Alexander, Stefan, Maria, and Nicola care about global issues a lot. They want to draw our attention to some alarming Your task is to choose the correct option. Od ponuđenih vam rešenja izaberite ono koje je jedino ispravno. If we don't save the environment, we won't have a place to live in. If clause zahteva present simple. Nikola nas upozorava da ukoliko ne sačuvamo svoje okruženje, nećemo imati gde da živimo. Unless we act now, global warming will get worse. Osim u slučaju da nešto preduzmemo odmah, globalno zagrevanje će se dodatno pojačati, pogoršati. Here is what Stefan and Maria worry about. Many plants and animals will die if the earth becomes hotter. The main clause requires the future simple tense, will die. Unless we fight climate change, we might lose endangered species forever. Može se desiti da zauvek izgubimo ugrožene vrste, osim u slučaju da se borimo protiv klimatskih promena. Raina wants to warn us about this. Polar bears will lose their habitat if the ice caps melt. If clause, we need the present simple tense. Since the ice caps is the third person plural, we need the form melt, not melts. If the sea levels rise, there will be floods all around the world. In the main clause, we use the future simple. Ukoliko nivoi mora porastu, biće poplava širom sveta. So, please think about this, says Alexander. What will happen if we don't protect our planet? Šta će se desiti ako ne zaštitimo našu planetu? Još jednom vas podsjećam, unless nikada ne ide sa glagolom u odričnom obliku, a ovdje imamo don't protect. Will there be any life left on the earth unless we stop polluting it? Za unless važi isto što i za if clause requires the present simple, unless we stop polluting it. Da li će uopšte ostati život na zemlji ukoliko ne prestanemo da je zagađujemo? Look at these horrible images of pollution. Let's act now and do all we can to protect and save our beautiful planet. Prvi kondicional naravno koristimo i kada razgovaramo o temama koje se tiču našeg svakodnevnog života. In our everyday life situations. So, let's practice. This time, Your task is to complete the sentences with the words in the box. Let's check together. The room will get too hot if we don't open the window. Ostaće pretoplo u sobi ako ne otvorimo prozor. Unless you tell me what's wrong, I won't be able to help you. Osim u slučaju da mi kažeš šta nije u redu, neću moći da ti pomognem. Odnosno, ako mi ne kažeš šta nije u redu, neću moći da ti pomognem. Alice will buy a car if she gets her driving license. If clause, we need the present simple tense. Alice is she, the third person singular. So, pay attention, we need s at the end of the verb, so it's gets. Alice će kupiti auto ako dobije vozačku dozvolu. If the tennis player doesn't take a rest soon, he will get tired. Now, the main clause, and we need the future simple tense. He will get tired. Obratite pažnju i na zapetu. Here we need a comma because the if clause comes first. If it is foggy at the airport, the plane will not take off. Ukoliko bude maglovito na aerodromu, avion neće uzleteti. Zapeta je opet tu. Someone might steal your car if you leave it unlocked. Može se desiti da ti neko ukrade auto ukoliko ga ne zaključaš. Here we don't have a comma. Ovde zapetu ne pišemo jer if clause dolazi tek u drugi deo rečenice. Unless you speak clearly, they won't understand you. Main clause, we need the future simple. Osim u slučaju da govoriš razgovetno, jasno, oni te neće razumeti. Odnosno, ukoliko ne govoriš jasno, oni te neće razumeti. Excellent. I believe you are very successful in doing this exercise. Now, your next step is, of course, your homework. Again, you have a choice. Please choose 7 out of 10 sentences and complete them in your own words, with your own ideas. Date rečenice, započete, ćete dakle dopuniti svojim rečima, po svom izboru, svojim idejama. Izaberite 7 od ponuđenih 10. You can of course do all of them if you want to. And of course, use the first conditional. Don't forget to use a comma where it is necessary. Voljela bih da čujem kakve ćete sve ideje imati prilikom rešavanja 10 rečenice i molim vas da o njoj posebno dobro razmislite. The world will become a better place if. I believe we all can do something for the world to become a better place. Now, in case you need a quick reminder while doing your homework, here is one for you. And that's the end of our today's class. I thank you for your attention and wish you a lot of success, joy, and pleasure in your future learning.